It's coming.
So roughly about 8 guys, maybe? 8
I got one thing spread, you don't feel confident, you can't really show them what's happening. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, Lynn's today, John. You want this back?
I just want to float around.
Back or shredded?
Shredded is fine.
I see the certified.
I mean, I didn't proof it or anything. I got this one.
Which one?
Just one.
Ladies and gentlemen, please power off all your cell phones and put them out of our vision. If they are seen out at court, they will be taken. Thank you. All rise.
Thank you. Be seated. You can call your next witness. All right, so what's the verdict on the temperature in the courtroom? It was chilly earlier, so I turned this blower off. Are we okay right now? Dressing in layers? Okay. Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, have a seat right there. And just point the microphone right at your mouth directly. Yeah, there you go. Just remember to keep your voice up, please. Thank you. Can you give us your name, please?
Thomas Russell,
And just spell your last name for the court reporter.
Russell,
And where are you employed?
City of Akron Police Department,
And in what capacity do you work for the Akron Police Department?
Detective Bureau,
Any specific area in the Detective Bureau?
in the property room.
Property room?
Yes,
You deal with evidence?
Yes.
Maintaining the evidence for APD?
yes.
And how long have you been in that position with APD?
A little over 10 years.
And how long have you been with the department altogether?
A little over 24 years.
you have a normal shift that you work?
Noon to 8.
And I want to ask you some questions then about November 16th, 2014, or actually November 15th, into 2014. November 15th, into the early morning hours of November 16th of 2014. Do you recall if you were working at that time?
I was off duty.
And do you recall where you were spending your time late that evening
I
on the
was-
15th?
I was at Papa Don's
Do you go there often?
once or twice a week.
Once or twice a week?
Yes.
Would you consider yourself a regular there?
Yes.
And do you know Tiffany Miller?
Yes, I do.
When you go to Papa Don's in the past, when you've gone, other police officers you know, do they also frequent that establishment?
Yes, they do.
And you also know Justin Winebrenner, true?
Yes, I do.
So do you know on that night, November 15th, 2014, when you arrived at Papa Don's?
It was close to midnight or after midnight. I'm not sure what time I actually arrived.
Okay. At the time you lived close to that pub? Close to
Yes,
the
I
establishment?
Yes.
So that night when you're at the bar, was just hanging out with friends, or what was the purpose?
Just hanging out with friends.
And what other officers were there or friends were there that you knew?
When I first arrived, Officer Shields was there, Jeff Shields. Officer Brian Hamilton was there, and Officer Pat Armstead was there.
Is it fair to say that from when you arrived at Papa Don's until the incident that we're here to talk about, that you pretty much maintained one sort of position at the bar?
Yes.
And if you can look at our map, it states Exhibit 5. This is the bar, this is the front door. Approximately where were you along the bar?
Partner to 13. Yes.
So what are these first, like 3 chairs or so?
Yes.
So you were there socializing, having some beer and watching a big football game?
Football.
Were you present at the bar still when at about 1:20 a.m. Tiffany Miller arrived with Justin Winebrenner?
Yes, I was.
Are you aware of who Kenan Ivery is?
I was sitting at the bar. I was talking to Jeff Shields. Justin came in and sat down beside me. Justin and I were talking for 4 or 5 minutes. At that point, Tara, the barmaid, comes up and whispers something to Justin. I did not hear what Tara said to Justin. Justin gets up and goes, I'll be right back. He walks over. I turn on my chair, and I can see Tiffany and the suspect talking. Justin walks by them and sits at the corner of the bar.
And you're talking the far corner now where the L portion of the bar is?
Yes.
So when you first noticed the defendant, Kenan Ivery, he's talking to Tiffany Miller at the south kind of end of the bar there?
Correct.
Do you know who Anne Marie Cruzio is?
No.
And give you, or show you, I'm sorry, it seems exhibit 50, it seems exhibit 35. So this is State's Exhibit 35. I just want you to take a look at that and tell me if you recognize it.
Yes, I do.
What is it, a photograph of or still image of?
Inside of Papa Don's, myself, Officer Shields, Tiffany Miller, Tara.
Looking at State's Exhibit 35, can you point out or describe where you are and I will point to? If we're looking at the end of the bar, right here, right? How many seats are you in here?
Like four seats. Right there. That is me right there.
Okay, facing, I guess, the camera, basically.
Yes.
And you said Jeff Shields is standing next to you? Or
He is to my right.
there?
Correct.
Okay. So after you see Justin kind of walk near or past the defendant and Tiffany as they're talking towards the south end of the bar, he remains there. Does he at some point make his way back towards you?
Justin?
Correct.
At that time, I can't remember. I'm watching Tiffany, the suspect. I'm watching Justin. I'm glancing at the TV. I become aware of him is after the shooting.
After the shooting?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Where were you when the defendant was firing his weapon in the bar?
I was still in the same seat.
So let me ask you this. When the first thing to draw your attention back to the defendant is when you hear gunfire?
Correct. Well, the first thing I heard, I thought was 2 bar stools being knocked over. That's when I spin around in my chair. I did not see any bar stools over. That is a gunshot. When I hear a 4th gunshot, the whole time I've got Dave Okada. I spin around, Dave's right there. I cannot see past Dave. I cannot see anything to the right. There's nothing to the right or to the left of Dave. Everything that's happening is in front of Dave.
And at that point where those things are happening, you're seated at the bar, they're about here. Those, you turn around, you look at what's going on here in front of the doorway.
Correct.
This is after, when do you turn? Before the 3rd shot?
Before the 3rd shot, I hear the first 2.
Okay. That's when you turn and then you actually feel something?
That's when I turn around and I hear the 3rd one. And I hear it and I feel something. And my immediate reaction is,
To feel where it is?
yeah, I can feel something. I hit my sweatshirt, pull my sweatshirt.
So do you see what starts the shooting then, or the scuffle that goes on? Do you see any of that?
No, I do not.
Do you see Justin at any point?
No, I do not.
And what happens after you kind of grab your arm, you're feeling your side?
If I hear a 4th shot, I get up out of my bar stool and I start going down to my right.
Which would be which direction? way?
It's never to my, when I turn around, I was facing the door.
Okay.
So I'm going to my right. I'm going down towards the kitchen and the restrooms.
All right, so you're coming down this way.
Yes,
At that time, you obviously realized those were gunshots.
yes.
What do you see as you head down towards the kitchen?
I see Dave, he's running full trot in front of me. He goes down and he collapses in front of me, right beside the kitchen. And I'm doing a once over. I'm looking for blood. I reach up my sweatshirt.
On yourself?
Yes. I don't see any blood, but I see Dave down. Out of the corner of my eye, I can see Courtney. She's getting towels. She runs over to Dave. She's running over to Dave. I look at Dave and I go, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Fuck no, I just got shot." Courtney comes over and gives him towels. And she's with Dave. And I don't know, I think I told her to stay here. I'm going outside. I think I even turn around and I see Jennifer. And I tell her, I said, "You stay with Dave." And that's when I head outside.
So you...
Sustain that. I don't quote Mr. Isom.
So you see Dave Isom, and what is he doing
He's applying pressure.
to Justin?
Yeah, correct.
Do you assist? What do you do?
Yes. I can see Justin still breathing. And I'm thinking, okay, if he's wounded, I can't see any wounds, but he's breathing. And CPR is going through my mind. I'm like, if he's breathing, does he have a pulse? Or if he has a pulse, and I'm thinking, okay, if you're breathing, you have a pulse, but you have a pulse and not breathing. He's got a zip-up hoodie on, so I'm unzipping the hoodie. He's got a button-up t-shirt on, and I'm unbuttoning that. I don't know if I have to get CPR, and the whole time I'm trying to get a pulse off of him. He's breathing, he's got a pulse, and I'm thinking, okay, I still don't see any wounds, I don't see any blood. Courtney comes out with more towels and puts them on Justin's chest.
Do you see blood at that time?
No, I do not.
Okay.
And she puts the towels down, I apply pressure to where she put them, and I got my hand, I can still feel a pulse.
So your feeling is what, neck or
Yes.
pulse? Okay.
And I can feel a pulse, and he's still breathing. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe he was in the middle of this, got knocked over, got knocked down, hit his head. Maybe he's just unconscious. I'm trying to wake him up. And I get no response.
So he's not responding to your attempts to what, shake him or wake him up or talk to him?
Correct.
What happens at that point?
At that point, there's Officer Shields, he's calling 911. And more people are coming out.
From the bar?
Yes. I live less than a mile away from the barn, and I know where the EMS station is, the fire station. And in the distance, I can hear the ambulance coming. And it's getting closer, and I'm telling Justin, just hold on. Again, I don't know how bad it is. I can hear, once the ambulance comes under the overpass, I know that they're close. EMS pulls into the parking lot. They pull up right beside us. The first paramedic that gets out of the unit, I grab him, I tell him, I go, this is an Akron police officer, so he's going first. And they pick him up, they put him on the gurney, and they leave.
So at that point, you didn't know Justin was shot?
I was told he was shot.
Okay.
trying to leave. I identify myself as an officer. I told everybody to have a seat, nobody's leaving. Exactly, I didn't let anybody get in or anybody out.
So you kind of shift into police mode and that you're going to help preserve the scene as well as keep witnesses there
Correct.
until they can be interviewed?
Yes.
Do you remain on scene and try to assist as best you can for a number of hours after this?
Yes.
And when is it that you finally are able to go back to your home?
I'll probably say it's around 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning.
When you get home, I guess it's 5 now in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, what do you discover then?
I go upstairs, I'm undressing to go to bed. I can still feel my side burning. Take my sweatshirt off, take my t-shirt off. I go downstairs to the bathroom, I lift up my arm, look in the mirror, and I can see. I change clothes, I get back in my car, drive back down to the scene.
Why?
I show them the shirt, show them the mark on my right side.
So when you get back to the scene, you actually approach some of the officers or detectives that are investigating it and say, hey, I think I was shot too, and showing them your sweatshirt?
Yes.
Does anyone then take photographs of your arm where you believe you were hit?
I believe Detective Hayes took a picture of my shirt, or my sweatshirt, and my right side, and of my face.
Okay, I'm going to hand you what I've marked now as State's Exhibit 30, 31, 32, and 33. You can take a look at those pictures for me and tell me if you recognize them.
Exhibit 30, that is my Washington Redskins hoodie.
Your sweatshirt you
My
wore that
sweatshirt,
night?
yes.
Okay.
This again is me back at the scene showing the detectives the hole here and there. That's me back at the bar.
Now this is 32.
This is 32, showing the red mark under the armpit, right side. I believe this might be the second day. That shows a more defined bruise.
Okay,
red.
you're referring to State's Exhibit 33?
33, yes.
And the picture showing a more defined bruise?
Red mark.
Got-
Right.
And can you describe, we'll show the pictures, I'll show them to the jury here in a moment, but, so you did not, the bullet that hit you, from your understanding, did not go into your body?
Correct.
How would you describe the wound you received from it?
I got grazed.
Grazed by the bullet?
Yes.
Okay. This is State's Exhibit 32. And what do we see here? Kind of here.
That's the red mark. That's where I got grazed.
And this is State's Exhibit 33. That's what you were just referring to as a day or so later?
Correct.
Showing your bruise?
Yes.
It's become what, more pronounced or
Yes.
darker?
More noticeable.
This is State's Exhibit 30. And And that's the sweatshirt you're referring to that you were wearing that night?
Correct.
This is Stacy's Exhibit 31 then. And you said that you're showing, in the photograph, you're showing basically the holes, the in and the out, holes that the bullet progressed through your sweatshirt.
Correct.
And that would have been on
The right
under
side.
here?
Yes.
So under your right arm, it actually went through your sweatshirt, but didn't just graze your body and then out the back.
Correct.
This is Exhibit 34. Can I have you take a look at this, please?
Need some scissors?
Before you go in, could you just identify, being a property officer with APD, do you see these bags with stuff in them all the time in the property room?
Every day.
Every day. So what do you see on the front of it?
That is my name listed as a victim, and the finder is Detective Hayes. It also gives a property ID number, describes Washington Redskins hooded sweatshirt.
And in your job as a detective in the property room, you're dealing with these markings and cataloging evidence daily.
Correct.
And if you just take that out for me. Okay, so inside the bag labeled states 34 is your Washington Redskins sweatshirt you had on that night?
Correct.
And was this sweatshirt then collected by officers and placed into property?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and can you kind of, you may need to stand up and just show the jury where the holes are in your sweatshirt.
One hole right here, and another hole's right out here. That way. If I have it on, it's right here.
So it goes in your sweatshirt, grazes your skin, and then comes out through the back.
Correct.
Thank you. Did you seek any medical attention for this?
No.
You just wanted to document it for APD with the pictures?
Correct.
Does that sweatshirt appear to be in the condition that it was when you had the pictures taken that I just showed you, as well as turning it over to APD officers to put in evidence for you?
Yes.
All right, I know further questions, thanks.
Officer Russell, the late evening hours of 15th of November, the early morning hours of 16th of November last, you were off duty. Is that a fair statement?
Correct.
Have you been on duty before that day?
I had worked overtime from 10 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon.
In the property room next door?
Yes.
Okay. You arrived at Papa Don's around midnight.
Correct.
I want you to take as fact that the shooting takes place at about 1:53 in the morning. Understood?
Okay.
So you've been in the bar at the time of the shooting about roughly an hour and 45 minutes.
Somewhere around there. I'm not exactly sure what time after midnight.
I appreciate it. Did you have anything to drink that night?
Yes, I did.
And what were you drinking that night, if you recall?
Jack Daniels and Coke.
Okay. Approximately how many Jack Daniels did you have?
I had one at the time. I was actually getting ready to leave. And a couple guys said, come on, stick around, stay for another drink. I said, I'm tired, I'm going to go home. So I got one more drink, and I was on my second drink.
So you had consumed anywhere from an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes, one Jack Daniels, and you were working on a second. Is that a fair way of putting it?
Yes.
The interview you gave to the other investigating officers indicated that you didn't see much of what went on that night. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the reason for that would be because you had your back to what was going on. Is that a fair way of putting it?
Correct.
Right. And if I can use the pointer here, if you're here at about 14, is that correct, sir?
I'm at 13.
13, all right. And over here, so your back is basically to this area. Is that correct, sir?
Correct, at the time.
Okay. Now, you recall giving a statement to the investigators that you saw a large male shove somebody?
I said, I believe that he might have shoved somebody.
Okay.
I don't.
All
If
right.
they asked me what I saw his arm go up. I said, I don't know if he shoved somebody.
Now, this male that did the shoving, was he white or black?
It was a white male.
White, okay? And 35. Any was marked for purposes of identification as states 35. You've seen that a little while ago, is that correct, sir?
Correct.
All right. And I'm going to put this on the overhead. Can you see that, sir?
Yes.
All right. And this person in the foreground, just in front of the person in the white sweatshirt.
Mr. O'Brien, can you just make sure the jury can see too?
Sure, I'm probably blocking it out. This person right here,
Yes.
you recognize that person?
That's Dave Eisel.
Right. Okay. And I think you indicated you thought a large white male might have shoved somebody?
Yes.
All right. Could it have been Mr. Eisel?
No.
Okay. Who do you think it was?
I think it was Dave.
Dave O'Connor?
Yes.
Another large white man?
Yes.
Okay. This commotion, I think you likened it to some chairs being knocked over?
Correct.
All right. Is it your understanding or your recall that you heard the chairs being knocked over, possibly someone being shoved? Then you heard the gunshots?
I heard what I thought was two chairs being knocked over.
Yes, sir. And then you heard some gunshots?
I turned around.
All right?
I look around. I do not see any bar stools over on the ground. That's when I'm thinking, was that gunshots? That's when I hear the third gunshot. And I see Dave's arm. Like I said, I could have been him shoving somebody, or could have been a defensive motion that he's protecting himself. At the time, I didn't know what was going on in front of him. All I can see is Dave's back. When I spin around, I see no stools over, and I hear the third one. That's when I see Dave's arm go like this. So I don't know if he's actually shoving somebody or if he's punching somebody.
Well, what I'm trying to establish is what you recall in terms of timing or sequence. Do you hear the chairs being knocked over, then you hear the gunshots?
I heard what I thought was chairs being knocked over.
All right.
And I spin around. I'm looking for chairs being knocked over. And in my mind, I'm thinking, there's no chairs knocked over. Was that good? Could that have been gunshots? As I'm thinking, could that have been gunshots? That's when I heard the third one.
Did you see any black male do any type of shoving?
No, I did not.
About the time that you heard what you believe to be chairs being knocked over, did you hear a yell?
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So just to clarify, the two chairs you thought were falling over weren't actually chairs falling over. That wasn't the sound you heard, correct?
Correct.
What did you then conclude that those two sound, what that sound was?
That them were two close contact shots from a gun.
So you realize there's nothing knocked over, there's no chairs knocked over, while those are gunshots.
Correct.
And that's when you hear the next two?
Correct.
So is it fair to say that you don't see, well, let me ask you this, have you been able, before your testimony at any point in the last many months, to view the actual surveillance video from up at times that night?
At the prosecutor's office.
And so here you were at the bar here, and you remember seeing the video, and the scuffle was kind of starts over here, is that fair?
Correct.
Do you see any of that, the beginning of that scuffle?
No.
Okay, so you don't know what started or who did what at that point?
Correct.
Your attention is drawn to anything on here when you hear the first two gunshots.
When I hear that, I'm talking to Officer Shields and Jennifer. And that's the first time I hear any commotion whatsoever.
So the first time you would actually turn towards the door is after you hear at least the two, if not all four gunshots?
First two. That's when I turn.
And that's when you're seeing basically the back of Dave?
Correct.
You can't see what's going on at the door?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
No recalls.
Fine, thank you, sir. You can step down. Swear the testimony you have will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes. Consider yourself under oath. You're going to have a seat right there. All right, now pull that microphone in front of you and point it directly at your mouth. There you go. And remember to project when you speak.
Okay.
Uh,
All right, because otherwise, just because there's a microphone there, people in the back still have to hear you, okay?
Okay.
Please tell us your full name and spell your last name.
Jody Ann Sugg, S-U-G-G.
And how old are you?
31,
And what part of town do you presently live in?
Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio.
And have you lived your whole life in Cuyahoga Falls?
No,
Can you tell us where you grew up and generally where you went to school?
Coventry, Portage Lakes area.
And what school did you go to?
Coventry.
So we're going to take you back to November 15th, 2014, where you worked at that time.
Yeah,
And what type of work did you do and where did you work?
I was a bartender at Portobella's Italian Eatery in Talmadge Circle.
I'm going to have you speak up.
Portobella's Italian Eatery,
And Portobella's Italian Eatery, where is that located?
Talmadge Circle.
And what did you do there?
I was a bartender.
And in November, how long have you been working at Portobella's?
Probably like 8 months.
And back on November 15th, do you remember, did you have a specific shift, an hourly shift that you were working that day?
Yeah, I worked every day except Sunday and Tuesday from 4 to close.
From 4 p.m. to close.
And we usually closed around 11 or midnight.
And do you recall on that evening, did you close around 11 or midnight?
Yeah, we closed around midnight and then we had to take our boss home that worked there.
All right, you have to speak up and enunciate, okay? Because I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, we closed Portobella's at around 11:30 midnight, but we had to take our boss home that night too. And then we left and went to Papa Don's.
And when you say we, who are you referring to?
Me and Natalie Lynn, my
Natalie
friend.
Lynn? And who is Natalie Lynn?
She worked with me at Portobella's.
And how long did she work at Portobella's?
I knew her as long as I worked there. I don't know exactly how long she worked there before.
So at least the 8 months that you were working there, Natalie Lynn was also working.
Yes,
And what did she do at Portobella's?
she was a waitress.
And in regards to the two of you together drove your boss home?
Yeah, she needed a ride home and we were leaving, so Natalie went to drop her off too.
Say that again?
I said, yes, she needed a ride home too. So Natalie gave her a ride home after we left there.
Okay. I guess the better question would be, are you guys driving together or?
Yeah. Natalie was driving with me and we gave her a ride home, but she forgot something at work, so we had to take her all the way back to Portobella's and then we took her back home.
Okay. After you did that, where did you go?
We went to Papa Don's.
And Papa Don's, had you been to Papa Don's before?
Yeah, many times.
When you say many times, how long ago, the period of time? Before going to Papa Don's?
Yes.
And how did you know her?
Friends. I went to Coventry, she went to Green, I think it was, and we had mutual friends since we were younger.
What about Justin Winebrenner? Were you familiar with him
Yeah.
that evening?
Yeah,
And how did you know him?
same thing, just mutual friends.
Did you know him?
And he was Tiffany's fiance.
Did you know him just from Papa Don's, or did you know him from prior to Papa?
I've seen him different places, but yeah, I've seen him whenever I go to Papa Don's, he's usually there.
Based upon your schedule that night, approximately what time do you think you arrived at Papa Don's?
A little bit after 1 a.m.
And when you get to Papa Don's, do you kind of roam, or do you have a place that you end up sitting for the
Yeah, we just went to the corner of the bar towards the office. Like,
And I'm going to refer you over to there's a diagram right here to your left. Let you get familiar with it. It's been identified as a diagram of at least this portion of the interior of Papa Don's. And this L-shaped here would be the bar.
we were at the end of the L shape.
And so you're on what we've been calling the south end,
Okay.
kind of closer to the office and the
Yes.
restroom. And when you say we, once again, you're talking about you and Natalie?
Yeah, Natalie was on the end, I was next to her, and then the other two was Constantine and Rocky White.
Okay. So Constantine and Rocky White, they didn't go with you?
No, we just went and sat around and talked to them.
So were they there when you arrived?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
when you say Natalie was at the end, is she on the bottom of the L, or is she?
Right there.
She's in this spot right
Yes.
here, okay? And where did you see?
Right next to her.
Right here. And then Rocky and Constantine, where were they seated?
At the end of the,
They were over here?
Yeah.
Were they both seated or were standing, if you remember?
yeah, they were seated.
So the four of you are kind of at the corner, two on one side, two on the other side, is that correct?
Yes.
And what about on your, as you're facing the bar then, on your right side, was anybody seated there?
Yeah.
And who was, were you familiar with the person? who was
No, I didn't know him.
Did you later learn who that person was?
Yeah, it was Kenan Ivery.
Kenan Ivery, had you ever seen him or had any interactions with him prior to that night?
No.
As a result of him sitting next to you then, did you have interactions with him?
Yeah, he kept trying to like, talk to us and put his hand on my shoulder and stuff like that.
So he's sitting right to your right, and as far as conversation, did you initiate any? Did he initiate any?
He asked us if we wanted some of his food and was just trying to talk to us and kept putting his arm like rubbing kind of on my shoulder now.
And you're pointing to your right shoulder,
Yeah,
is that correct?
like this area.
And he was rubbing your shoulder?
Yeah, like he was trying to get our attention and talk to us and be touchy-feely kind of.
And what did you respond when he asked you if you wanted any of his
We just
food?
said no, we were good, we didn't want anything.
Was that the end of it?
Well, I mean, he kept doing it a few more times, like trying to get us to talk to him. So I just kind of faced towards Natalie and talked to them.
When you say doing it, what are you referring to?
Just when he kept trying to talk to us and like touch us and get our attention kind of thing.
When you say touch him, did he touch you more than one time?
Yeah, he kept putting his arm on me or towards me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he kept putting his arm on me. It was like trying like a rubbing thing on my back or grabbing my shoulder kind of thing.
And did you respond to the fact that this individual was rubbing on you?
I mean, I tried to laugh it off, like, you know, like, so he wouldn't get mad or take offense to it. But then I just ignored it and kept talking to him.
Do you remember if Natalie said anything in regards to that?
I don't know exactly what she said, but I know she said something to him.
Did he stop it after Natalie said something?
Yeah, well, I ended up getting up and going out to get my phone
Okay.
from the car.
You went out to the parking lot?
Yeah, from Natalie's car to get my phone.
How long were you gone for?
Just grabbed it and came back in, and then when I came back in, he was not sitting there, so I sat back down with Natalie.
So you sat back in the exact same seat that you were before?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
And do you recall if he eventually returned to that seat?
Yeah, he came and sat back down.
And at that point, is your body still facing the bar? What are you doing with your body to...
Well, it still was uncomfortable.
Hold on. You can't speak over him. She has to take down every word you say, and she can't do two voices at once. It's all right. I know it's not a natural way to speak, but he has to finish the question, and then you answer. And if you could just try to slow down a little bit. I know this is an unfamiliar, situation, but just calm down a little and speak a little slower, okay?
I'll repeat the question. When you return to your seat, you return to the parking lot, correct?
Yes.
And when you get there, Kenan Ivery's not in his seat, but eventually he returns to that seat right next to you.
Yes.
And then as far as any more interactions between the two of you, were there any more?
Not that I recall.
And did you position your body in any way in regards to Mr. Ivery?
Yeah, I was facing Natalie,
And
talking with them.
were you doing that on purpose at all?
Yeah. I was leaning like this, but facing them. Just because it was uncomfortable.
Your interaction with Mr. Ivery was uncomfortable?
Yes.
Was it so uncomfortable that you went and complained to Tiffany or anybody at that time?
No, but Rocky and Constantine could tell that we were uncomfortable, so he told me to come stand by them. So I got up and went and stood by the guys.
I think you said before you tried to laugh it off, so you just were trying to let it go, is that correct?
Yeah.
So you stand up and go by them. What's the next thing you remember in regards to Mr. Ivery that evening?
I just remember Kenan and Tiffany arguing behind me.
Now, we're kind of going over a lot of time period that you're there. Is your focus always on Mr. Ivery?
No.
What are you doing for the majority of the time that you're there?
I was mainly just talking with my friends.
Is that where your focus was?
Yeah.
Were you trying to pay attention to everything Mr. Ivery was saying and doing?
No.
But you do recall that there was a period of time then that Tiffany and him were arguing?
Yeah,
And you recall whereabouts that would have been?
it was directly behind us. I just remember it was something about the bill.
And when you say arguing, why do you think they were arguing?
Because how he was acting, it seemed like she was just telling him to pay the bill and leave, and he didn't like that.
Did you notice if he did in fact pay the bill?
No, I didn't notice anything else after.
During the time that you were together, sitting next to him, did you notice if he had any money?
Yeah, he had like a knot of money. He was kind of, seemed like he was trying to like flash it around,
Why do you
show
say
off.
he-
Like
say
show
he
off.
tried to flash it around, show it off? Why do you say that?
Because he was sitting next to us, like asking us if we wanted anything before, and like had his money out and stuff.
I mean, when he had his money on, was he paying for anything?
No, he just had it in his hand.
Flipping through it or just
No.
having it in his hand?
He was like messing with it, like it's like he wanted someone to see he had a bunch of money.
Is that why he was talking to you?
Yeah, that was while we were still sitting down.
So you hear Mr. Ivory and Tiffany arguing.
Yes.
And do you notice what happens with those two then?
No, I didn't notice anything after that with him.
In regards to an overly drunk patron that's at the bar, do you remember anything in regards to that?
Yeah, there was another gentleman, I don't know his name, he sat down next to us and was being rude. And I just remember he got up and fell on his face like 2 different times. And then after that is when everything went crazy.
So he was, when you say he was being rude to you, what was he saying?
He was just, I don't remember the conversation, I just remember he was being really mean. And me and they were mad at him because he wouldn't stop. He was like being real sarcastic and mean.
Sarcastic and mean?
Yeah, like really mean though. So he walked away finally and then he fell. So.
And then your words were, what happened next?
Then we heard the commotion. Like,
Now, as far as the commotion, what specifically, if anything, did you hear?
I thought they had this big Browns balloon in there, like this really giant one, and I just heard like pop, 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 and we literally didn't even know what happened. We thought somebody popped the balloon because we were still all the way at the end of the bar.
Before hearing a pop, did you hear anything going on prior to that?
No.
First thing you noticed is a loud pop, is that fair to say?
Yeah.
What happened next then with you?
It took a minute to realize what was going on, and then the bartender pulled us behind the bar into the office, and she called 911.
As far as the popping, you later learned that there was a shooting, is that correct?
Yeah, when we saw Dave on the ground bleeding, we realized what happened.
As far as the shooting itself, though, did you see? who was
No,
shooting?
I didn't see any of that part. I didn't see anything of the shooting. I just saw the aftermath of what happened.
But you did see Dave on the ground?
Yeah,
And where was he on the ground?
he was directly where we were sitting. He was laying on the ground behind us. And Rocky was trying to stop the bleeding.
Pretty shaken up by all
Yeah.
those events? Did you stay at the bar, though?
Yeah, we waited and did the police reports and stuff.
So you
Our
talked,
statement.
you talked to the police that night?
Yes.
And did you talk to the police again at a later time?
Yeah,
And where did that occur?
at the police station. At the main office.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, down here at one of the police stations next door.
Yeah, that would occur on December 5th of 2014, does that
Yes.
sound about right? Did you have an opportunity to view the video?
Yes.
With the police? And have you had an opportunity to view the video with our office as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna-
36.
This is 36. Yeah, I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 36. Ask if you're able to identify what you're looking at.
Yes.
And what have I just handed you?
the surveillance footage of when we're sitting at the end of the bar and Kenan's next to us.
Okay. And, I mean, you recognize, or at least you're familiar where you were seated?
Yeah.
So what of you can we see in the picture?
Of me?
Yeah.
Facing Natalie, away from him.
Okay.
Can you see the back of my head?
So we see your black hair. Can we see Natalie at all?
Yeah. She's next to me.
And you can recognize yourself just because you remember being there that night and seeing the video?
Yeah, and I remember wearing that. My hair's really dark.
Hold on, I didn't catch that.
I said I remember what I was wearing that night, and my hair is really dark.
Let's put it in for the benefit of the jury. First of all, this is the video still that I just showed you, correct?
Yes.
And that's inside of Papa Don.
Yes.
For the record, this is at 36 timestamp. Timestamp is 1:30, 35 seconds. I'm going to zoom in to the area where you indicated you were sitting. In regards to the black hair then?
Yes.
Is that me?
That's me.
And then we see kind of a little bit of a figure behind your head.
Yeah, that's Natalie.
And then the individual we see the next to you.
Kenan.
No further questions.
Hold on one second.
Ms. Sugg, if I ask you some questions and they're a little bit difficult to understand, I'll repeat what you said. Fair?
Yeah.
Ms. Sugg, about what time did you arrive at the Papa Don's that night?
I'm not sure exactly when. It was a little bit after 1 a.m.
You were working till that point in time, were you not?
Well, I was working until midnight. We had to take my boss home.
And if this, so let's say you get to the bar about 1:15, would that be a fair estimate?
Yeah.
And if this shooting takes place at about 1:53, then you've been there approximately a half an hour.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you drinking that night?
Yes.
Do you recall what you were drinking that night?
Vegas bombs.
All right. How many did you have, if you recall?
Probably 3. I wasn't even there that long.
All right. And you've already indicated that you did not see the shooting. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. But you did hear some things, overhear some conversations. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it's safe to say you heard rather than saw things that night. Fair way of putting it?
Yes.
All right. Specifically, you indicate that Mr. Ivery was rubbing your right shoulder. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did it a couple times?
Yes.
Did he ever proposition you in any type of sexual way?
No.
Okay. And was he ever...
No.
In fact, you came back and you sat down in the seat. He came back and sat down next to you, right?
Yes.
All right. And other than turning your back to him, you didn't see any reason to leave, did you?
Well, no.
Okay. This conversation that you overheard between Mr. Ivery and Tiffany Miller involved the bill, is that correct?
Yes.
And specifically, did it include also some discussion or argument about food?
I wasn't sure what they were arguing about. I just knew he was supposed to pay the bill and leave, but I thought he was complaining about the food too.
Did you hear him threaten anybody during that conversation?
I heard him being aggressive. I don't have anything specific though that I heard.
So you didn't hear him say, I'm going to shoot somebody, or I'm going to come back, or
No.
do something nasty to somebody?
No.
So other than being upset about a bill, that's all you heard?
Yes.
Ma'am, thank you for your time.
No further questions.
All right, Mayor, you can step down.
One more witness, and then we'll go to
Sure, we'll take a break now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll give you till 3:15. Just remind you about admonitions, about discussing, investigating, or deciding the case. Put your notepads down on your chairs. All rise. And just wait in the jury room until Shay releases you.
I wasn't planning to.
It says here he's 47, weighs 295.
Hard to. That's not right. Maybe one.
Sure.
Let's see, balloon dog or far away. No, I know she's not.
Are you sure?